Rick Harrison's life has been very hard this year, 2025. Everyone thinks of him as the boss of all porn stars. Behind the scenes, though, he's been through heartbreak, rumors of going to jail, and even the fact that porn stars will be on hold in February 2025. Rick has had to deal with other things in 2025 as well, and it looks like he is now staying out of sight. Where is he now? It's not what you thought would happen. Rick Harrison's worst breakup yet happened on January 19, 2024. Rick got a call that day. Adam Harrison had died. He was his second son. Adam was 39 years old. Fans didn't know what to think when they heard the story of the autopsy. They didn't know that Adam was having trouble with drugs. Adam had died in a Las Vegas guest house after taking too much fentanyl and methamphetamine by accident. Rick told everyone that lax border policies were to blame for his son's death. Rick was deeply shocked by his death, and the shock lasted for a long time, but Rick has done something in 2025 that might help him feel better. What did he do? Adam worked for a short time at the Gold and Silver Porn Shop, but he stayed out of the limelight as a porn star. Adam, on the other hand, couldn't stand how busy his dad's porn shop was, so he quit. But he had a drug problem for a long time, and Rick knew about it. Rick even helped his son get into rehab and was there for him while he was getting better. But Adam's problems were deeper, and even though Rick tried to help, Adam's problems took over his life. Rick has his own problems with drugs as well. Rick is hooked on his show Porn Star instead of drugs, though. After all the action and drama of Rick Harrison's Gold and Silver Porn Shop, Porn Star came out on July 19, 2009. It has become one of the most popular TV shows since it first aired. It was the most watched show on the History Channel and the second most watched reality show after Jersey Shore in January 2011. It was great that the show was so popular, and Rick Harrison wrote a book about it on June 7, 2011. It was called License to Porn Deals, Steals, and My Life at the Gold and Silver. Right away his book became a big hit. By June 26, 2011, it had climbed to number 22 on the New York Times bestseller list. After getting a taste of success, Rick worked hard to keep it up. That being said, Rick is not perfect. He has done things that hurt his reputation, and we will talk about those soon. You could even say that some of the choices he's made have made 2025 less easy for him. Even though the show did well in February 2025, Rick found out something shocking. The History Channel that aired it didn't offer Rick and his crew a new contract. The well-known show that gave rise to hit spin-offs like American Restoration, Sinjin Porn Stars, and Counting Cars no longer has a home. Rick isn't giving up though. It seems like he still has what it takes to get the show going. He is working on getting filming to start up again, and is looking into other ways to make the show better, which he called Porn Stars 2.0. Instead of saying that the show was cancelled, Rick would say that it was taking a break for good. Are there going to be more porn stars, or have we seen the last of them? What will happen to the actors if they can't film again? Rick and his porn star co-star Austin "Chum" Lee Russell have made content for the show their future. They made a podcast called Porn After Dark in February 2025. It is not officially connected with history. That way they won't get in trouble with the law and can finally start filming again. Even so, Corey, Big Hoss Harrison, Rick's first son, is done with the show no matter what happens. Does this mean that filming for the show won't start up again? Why would Corey quit the show like that? He's an important part of it. With Adam dead and Corey leaving, how would Rick handle being where he is now? Corey recently said that he is not in talks to renew his contract and does not want to be. What are they not telling us about what happened between him and his dad? If there is, it would not be the first time that the Harrison family members caused trouble or had disagreements over the show. Soon we'll tell you about their biggest fight yet. News stories say that Corey doesn't care about the show. He no longer lives in Las Vegas and now lives in Tulum, Mexico. My dad is going to work until he fails. Corey said, "That's just not me." He packed his bags and left when the show was paused, and he saw that his father and friend Chumlee weren't moving on after 22 seasons. Corey didn't leave to work in Mexico. He went to Tulum because he deserves a long vacation. How much money did he have saved? Is he going to work? On the Caribbean coast of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, Tulum is a popular place to go on vacation. It is famous for its beaches and the ruins of an old Mayan city that are still in good shape. Corey is thus spending his days taking it easy, as if nothing were wrong. but he made a mistake. He said porn stars might not be real. What a shock, right? How could Corey come up with that idea? Soon you'll know. Corey is getting ready to start a business in Tulum. Also, it has nothing to do with porn stars. He is working with investors in and around Tulum to open a barbecue joint. He even gave this joint a name, Big Horse's Smoking Joint. Does he have the skills to run a barbecue business in this area? Important politicians and people in the government hang out with him because he is famous. Big Hoss may be counting on his fame to help him get customers who will buy from him in the same way that he has been buying from porn stars fans for years. Corey said that he and the other actors started to play a different character instead of their real selves after a while on the show. He said, "I can't play another season of 41-year-old me, pretending to be 23. This means that he is stuck with the character he played at the beginning of the show. It's possible that nobody knows who Corey Chumley, or even Rick, really is. Do you think Rick is really the calm, tough and reliable guy we've come to love? There have been hints that Rick isn't really the patient person he plays on TV. Even though Rick has owned a porn shop for years, he doesn't always have the patience to deal with the different kinds of customers who come in. Like that time in October 2011. At that time, 62-year-old disabled Vietnam veteran Daniel Callahan brought a Model 96B rifle to the gold and silver shop to figure out how much it was worth. Daniel says that he, Rick Harrison, and Richard Old Man, Daniel's father, got into a fight. Daniel said that Rick and Richard Harrison choked him, dragged him through the store, and threw him out on the sidewalk while they were arguing. Daniel said that the father and son intentionally hurt him and sued them for $20,000 for the injuries he said he got during the attack. Daniel made a lot of claims that Rick and his dad didn't believe. Corey then said that Rick and Richard weren't even there when Daniel had a problem. Corey said that Danny was acting strangely, and they thought he might be able to fire the gun he was holding. The staff dealt with it in a way that they knew would keep everyone safe. Rick was able to defend himself in that case, but he has since been accused of putting down, dismissing and disrespecting his customers. People often feel offended when he gives them prices that are so low. In the episode of the show called Another Christmas Story, a man went into a store to buy an NBA championship ring. The customer was interested in Rick's 1975 Golden State Warriors that was set with diamonds. The customer didn't know that Rick kept the ring store for his fiancée, with whom he later got engaged. Someone already wanted to buy the ring, which made Rick mad. He cared so much about it, so why not just take it off the display? The mood got tense when the customer asked Rick if the ring was real. There were details about the ring that Rick gave the customer. The customer wanted to use his own diamond tester to check if the ring was real, which was a reasonable thing to do. Rick was mad that the customer wouldn't believe him though. He was furious as the customer used his own diamond tester to check the quality of the diamond. The customer saw for sure that the ring's diamonds were real. After the customer made an offer of $5,500, Rick set the final price at $11,000. Rick wouldn't lower the price, and the customer was upset that Rick wouldn't work with him on the price tag. His surprise at Rick's hostile behavior made him think that Rick was going to beat him up. Not only the customer, but also other people who deal with Rick would feel that way. Someone went into the gold and silver porn shop on June 22nd. Everything would have been fine if Rick Harrison had been able to control his anger and irritation. The customer and Rick were doing business together, but Rick lost his temper when they talked about prices, and they got into a heated argument. Their fight didn't end with an argument, which was a shame. That was the start of a full-on fight. The customer said Rick started to threaten to beat them up, so they left the store for their own safety. But they didn't forgive Rick for making threats, so they called the police right away. The police arrested Rick and took him to court after they left the store. Fans were shocked when they heard that Rick had been arrested for attempted battery, which is a misdemeanor. They thought Rick wouldn't attack a customer because they knew him well. Rick was brought to court and pleaded guilty to the crime he did. Rick said he was sorry for what he did, and felt bad about it. He said he would be more polite from then on. He got 2 years of probation and 30 days of community service from the judge. He got into trouble with the law, which is something that a lot of porn stars have done. It looked like people didn't know Rick as well as they thought they did, which hurt his pride. While his guilty plea was small compared to other porn stars' cast scandals, it still caught a lot of people by surprise. It was also surprising that Chumley, the show's comic relief, would be involved in a major scandal in March 2016. In March, the police were called to a report that Chumlee had sexually assaulted a woman. So the police went to his Las Vegas home to look into the sexual assault claim. They couldn't find any proof of the sexual assault claim. There were no charges, but the police found something else: crystal meth, marijuana, Xanax, and antidepressants, as well as a number of legal and illegal guns, were discovered in Chumlee's home. Right away, the police arrested him and put 20 felony charges against him in court. Fans were shocked when they heard about Chumlee's scandal. Chumlee was the show's funny guy, but what the police found in his house, and the serious charges that followed, took away from his good mood. A lot of people thought the show was family-friendly until Chumlee was arrested. In May 2016, Chumlee took a plea deal and left the show for a while. He admitted that he did have weapons and tried to have drugs, which is a misdemeanor. Chumlee was given 3 years of probation. He had to stay out of trouble until 2019 if he wanted the felony charge to be dropped. In order to stay out of jail, Chumlee also had to go to counseling and give up his guns and drugs. Later, Chumlee went back to porn stars. Luckily, he hasn't been arrested since then, which means he followed the rules of his probation. Chumlee may have stayed out of trouble, but Corey, his friend, did not. People thought of Corey as a smooth talker and a good negotiator. People thought he wouldn't get into trouble, but they were wrong. For some reason, Corey was swerving between lanes in his white Ford pickup around 2 a.m. in 2023, near Main Street and Charleston Boulevard. A police officer thought something was wrong with the way he was driving, so he chose to stop Corey. It was clear that Corey had been drinking because his eyes were blood red and watery when the police came up to him. The police thought Corey had been drinking, but Corey said he hadn't been drinking all night. He said he had something to drink 7 hours ago. Corey failed a field sobriety test that the police gave him after they asked him to get out of his car. So, the police put him in jail. Corey's night had just begun. He was jailed, but the breathalyzer there wasn't working right, so the police had to draw blood from him. Once Corey paid his bail, he was freed. He was lucky that his case didn't go to court. Could Corey be addicted in the same way that Adam was? Is there going to be more trouble in Rick's family? Rick's mother sued him in 2022 because she thought he had stolen and other things. Fans held their breath when they heard something that shocked them. His mom said Rick wasn't really the owner of the gold and silver pawn shop. She said that she was the real owner. There were 51% of the business that Joanne owned when her husband opened the store in 1989 and 49% that she owned. She said that Rick let her sign over her share of the business when she got sick in the early 2000s and had to stay in the hospital. Joanne says she wasn't thinking straight and didn't fully understand what she was doing. She said she had no idea that she had given Rick control of the business. In 2018, Joanne Harrison lost her husband Richard Harrison. She thought she had inherited his 49% stake and was now the owner of the business. She thought Rick was her employee and should have given her all of his financial records. But she said Rick wouldn't do it and was mismanaging the company's money. She said Rick had borrowed $3 million and used her things as collateral. That wasn't all. They also said he didn't account for more than $100,000 in cash and $500,000 in silver that Richard had before he died. The things she said about Rick kept getting worse. She said that Rick had been giving her a $25,000 monthly allowance from the business. This was later cut to $20,000 per month, and it was cut again to $85,000 for the whole year of 2020 because of the CO-9 pandemic. She finally said Rick stopped giving her anything. The fact that she needed to pay $15,000 a month for her health made it hard for her to do so. Things were already bad, but when Joanne put in a temporary restraining order against Rick in March 2022, they got even worse. She didn't want Rick to take any money from the business, sell or rent out business property, or stop her monthly income, which she needed for personal and medical costs. Rick was having another bad day, but he tried to hide it. He said that Joanne was being scammed, and that everything she said was not true. Rick thinks he has always done what was best for the business. He even tried to talk to his mom about it but failed. Since his mother's public accusations and lawsuit, the case hasn't been talked about in public. Did they work it out without going to court? Even though there was a lot of bad news about Rick Harrison, he seems to be in a good place. Rick made news when he asked his girlfriend Angie Palashkin to marry him on a romantic trip to Chile's Casablanca Valley, a year after his son had died. They started going out together in January 2024. not long after Rick's divorce from Amanda Palmer, his fourth wife, in 2023. There is an 18-year age difference between them, but they look great together and travel the world together. Their fans were happy when they posted on Instagram that they were going to get married. Rick asked her to marry him with a pear-shaped 6.5-carat ring from his pawn shop. This was his fifth engagement after 4 failed marriages. The good thing is that he and Angie are together. Rick has been through a lot. You can see that he did some of it himself, but he needs a break. He's had enough now. He feels better when he is with the woman he loves. Will the fifth term work out well for him, or will he act like the child some people think he is?